Good evening, I'm Brady Alderson, and the Sports Ticker is brought to you by the experienced advisors at Stonebridge Wealth Systems. This weekend, Rhonda Revelle picked up her 1,200th win in an 11-5 triumph over Rutgers on Sunday. She now ranks third among active D1 coaches in wins at their current schools. Revelle is in her 34th year and has led Nebraska to a 30-6 record, including an 11-1 start in conference play. The 8th-ranked Huskers are back in action this weekend as they travel to Madison to take on the Badgers. Also on Sunday, the women's tennis team bounced back from a loss against third-ranked Ohio State by defeating Penn State 4-2. The 50th-ranked Huskers are now 13-6 overall and 6-4 in conference play. Nebraska will continue their 4-match homestand on Wednesday with a 5 o'clock matchup with the Creighton Blue Jays. The Sports Ticker was brought to you by Stonebridge Wealth Systems, navigating you to and through the retirement of your dreams. Local advisors, a disciplined process, the retirement compass. Visit stonebridgeiwm.com. Coming up next is Hour 1 of Sports Nightly right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
That's the deepest single you're probably going to see from Dylan Carey. It does score a run. And this ball shot into right field off the bat of Jet Buck, sending Porter back to the wall. A grand slam! Jet Buck does it for Nebraska. And the Huskers putting it on the Nittany Lions early.
Here's Rhett Stokes. 6th start at second base today. Has runners at first and second. Both runners take off. First pitch is blasted in the air. Deep left field. Jakonski back. It's gone. Rhett Stokes is scorching hot.
Right-hander Caldwell delivers the first one. And Bland lines this one. Deep left field. And it's just out of the reach of Mitchell, the left fielder. Bangs off the wall. Kaneda around third to score. And Bland dives into third with an RBI triple. 7-0 Nebraska in the fourth pitch. And Lawrence swings and lets the fly ball to left. Mitchell back, and it's gone! A 3-run home run for Lawrence Hammondson. And a 7-run bottom of the first for Nebraska. What a response by the Cornhuskers.
Now, here are your hosts, Jessica Coody and Kyle Crooks on the Huskers Radio Network.
Hey everybody, happy Monday to you with Kyle Crooks. I'm Jessica Coody, and congratulations. You made the montage with the baseball call.
I did. And, let's take people behind the curtain because my feelings were hurt during, the call had played and everything. And then Jess had asked me, hey, were you in the montage? I appreciate you listening to the montage. It was a great montage.
Well, I was looking up something and I missed it, and the speaker was down.
But it was a fun weekend. This is my second weekend series at home where I've had a doubleheader. I had a doubleheader against Maine. I had a doubleheader, obviously, this weekend against Penn State. So Saturday was a long day. It was Bark at the Park. Sonny was there.
Did you give her a shout out, by the way?
I did.
Okay.
I'm happy you were listening, too. Wow, you're such a good friend.
I didn't bring my headphones in, and I wasn't going to just blast it on the berm, although I would have if I could sync it up, to live baseball. But there were people out there that had their headphones on.
Yeah, I look around the stands, and I see a lot of people have headphones on. That actually makes me nervous, because sometimes you forget people are listening to this thing.
Real
You're
time.
like, oh, there's real-time reaction to what I said.
Some random booze, it's not anything going on.
Or if somebody takes the headphones off, you're like, ooh, that inning wasn't good.
Yeah, no, Sonny made it to both. We started at softball, and boy, they took care of business in game one, and then we walked over and checked out baseball. It's kind of cold out there.
Saturday was a tough one.
Yeah, but kind of embarrassing. So Sonny's been with my mom and dad in Sentinel, and not a lot of interaction with dogs, and so she had to get reacclimated. And Callan Hake was out there with her parents and their dog Rocky, who is, I think, 15 or 13, one. But I think he's deaf, but he kind of wanted to play with Sonny, and boy, she snapped at him. I was so embarrassed.
Oh, no. Sonny's very socially selective. We've gone over this.
Yes, and I was so embarrassed. I'm like, you have to behave better when we go out in public.
So did the dogs eventually just get over it and start...
they were playing all right over at softball, and then I think Rocky wanted to,
just a little rough.
Reunite over at baseball, and I think Sonny was ready for a nap.
So it was a long day for Sonny.
You have Sonny doing a lot of walks in the morning, a lot of bark at the parks. So, no, that's good. It was a good day. I didn't see a whole lot of dogs when I looked out at baseball. I think there were a little bit more at softball. I saw a golden retriever at one point.
Yeah, it was not as many as there normally are. I think probably the weather had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there were a handful of softball for sure.
It was windy this is not breaking any news, but I don't know if you know this, Jess. It's windy in Nebraska.
It was windy for sure. But hey, big weekend though. We talked about it, and both teams kind of doing what they needed to do and taking care of business. Let's start with baseball. It's kind of been a little bit of the MO. It's really impressive how it can be a close game, and then all of a sudden, boy, they just open it up with some massive innings.
Yeah, they have ability to throw up crooked numbers. They got a couple of good starts this weekend from their weekend starters. Yasa was, the last couple of times Carson Yasa has pitched, he's been about as good as he has been in a Nebraska uniform. He had 11 strikeouts in the second game of the doubleheader. Cooper Katsky, very similar starts to what we've continued to see out of him. Give up an early home run and then dig your feet in and go 6 innings. In this case, he went a season-high 7. Ty Horn, their Friday night guy, he was the starter in game 1 of the doubleheader. He just did not have it. But the good thing is when starting pitchers don't have it and you fall to a deficit. At this point, there was one point in game 1, they were down 4 runs. But their offense is just snap of a finger. They put you right back into the game. Relentless 1 through 9. The last game of the series, 7 through 9, was just about as good as that part of the lineup could possibly be. Guys like Rhett Stokes, who are continuing to get opportunities in the lineup and just not relinquish their chances. And you have to continue to put Rhett Stokes in the lineup. You have to continue to put a true freshman in Drew Grigo in the lineup. A lot of different guys that have showcased pop, power, incredible ABs. Case Sanderson has been ultra consistent in the quality of his plate appearances this year. Dylan Carey, same thing. I think we talk about the wind. Dylan had probably 3 or 4 home runs this weekend that were knocked down and influenced by the wind. So it was one of those frustrating weekends for him that his numbers could have been even a lot more inflated. But if it weren't for the elements, and then Jet Buck, he hit a grand slam this weekend. And we'll have Will in this second hour for the Nebraska baseball show. They're in a really good spot right now. But now the schedule's the toughest. This 9-game stretch or so is about the toughest it could be.
Yeah, lots of opportunity here coming up over the next couple of weeks. Hey, you would have been proud of my heckling out there in the outfield.
You were heckling
I was
people?
Trying to help Drew carry out on some of those fly balls.
Dylan,
to drop some baseballs out there in the outfield.
So you made the same mistake I did. So you called him Drew Carey. I did that once.
Drew Carey. What was I thinking? Dylan Carey.
You're thinking Price is Right. So
Dylan Carey, my bad. I didn't even notice I did that.
I did that. I think Camden's done that. Nick did that. So there's Drew Grigo in the lineup, and then Dylan Carey. Drew Carey. I grew up watching the show. I don't know if you grew up watching the Drew Carey show, and he's the host of Price is Right now when Bob Barker retired. But I'm glad that you were breaking out some of the, and you're not even like a Northeast person. That's like a Northeastern thing to do. Like Yankees, Red Sox fan just screaming at the outfilders.
Yeah.
That's good.
I was trying.
Was Sonny barking at the outfielders too?
No. Well, no.
Didn't bite anybody? And
I should have, but no, she wasn't doing her part out there.
What was it like seeing Sonny again for the first time last Friday?
It was fantastic.
You had a couple weeks separation?
Yeah, it was pretty tough, but I was glad to have her back. And so, yes, I had to bribe her, though. She was pretty sad to see my parents leave. So I said, let's go to the park, and she had a lot of fun. Also Justin on the chat said that you and Nick have created quite a nice chemistry.
Yeah, he's awesome. Nick's awesome. Ben's awesome. Excited to listen to Ben and Nick this week. They'll be doing the Kansas game, and then I think they're chartering both ways, so that'll be nice for the team because that's not the case for every trip. Sometimes it's usually they'll charter on the way back, fly commercial there, but it's a charter both ways out to Eugene, Oregon, which that'll be a top 25 series. The Huskers stayed pat at 19th in the country. Oregon's going to be 21st. They lost 2 out of 3 against Michigan. I think they got walked off in the final game of their series, but it's been an awesome first year for me being around those guys, being around Will, hosting his show a little bit. We said it on the air too. They're very welcoming to broadcasters when sometimes that's not the case that you get around teams. You're part of the family with baseball. It's a little different. It's a little bit different with football, just because there's so many people in that travel party. right? But baseball, it's like it's a smaller group, so it's nice.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I see somebody on the plane with football that
You
I'm
never
like,
see them again until the flight back. Yeah. It's a massive operation with
for
football.
Sure. Okay, well, softball also took care of business. They looked just really, really strong in that first game of the doubleheader. And look, it's not always easy to play a doubleheader. I know we talked about it. Coach Bolt doesn't love the doubleheaders. Coach Ravel doesn't either. But they super strong coming out of the gate in the doubleheader. A little bit tougher challenge there in game number 2 on Saturday, and then took care of business again on Sunday. And Jordy was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and you got to see more of the games than I did. They, of course, were going at the same time as baseball. But what do we say for both teams, right? It was a take care of business weekend.
Yep.
Same thing for baseball. You know, Penn State came in with a 230 RPI. I would assume it's similar, a high RPI for Rutgers. They're probably outside the top 100, if I had to venture a guess, in RPI. So you lose one of those games, and that could really hurt your resume. And I'm thinking, we said this last week. I was looking at Softball America's. They had plotted out, okay, who's going to host regionals, forecasting. They had Nebraska, who moved up to a 2 RPI.
Which they were 2, then they moved to 3.
Yeah, they might be late. They might have gone down because they played just the virtue of playing a lower team in the Big Ten. But they were listed as the number 2 overall national seed the last time I checked.
Yeah.
With Omaha, I think, was the 3, South Carolina was the 2, and then I think Howard was the 4 seed. So it shows you what the metrics are saying right now about Nebraska softball is they could be as high as 2. I don't think they can ever get to a 1 just because based on what's left in their schedule. Now, the Big Ten tournament matters too. Like if you beat Michigan and UCLA in a championship game, then that's boosting your resume right before Selection Sunday. So maybe I could talk myself into them maybe having a chance. I would just think the number 1 overall seed would probably be slated for an SEC team, just based on because they play each other. They're all top 25.
I think it still remains just fascinating to see what they've done pitching, you know, and the ways that they can be a little bit versatile, even in a doubleheader game like they had on Saturday. But it just is, you know, they can look at lineups and matchups and you know, and also keep Jordy really fresh because they do have other arms. And, you know, she carried a really, really heavy load last year towards the end of the season and into the postseason. And so it's really, really impressive how they can kind of move things around and maneuver in matchups in certain situations. And my dad and I got into this conversation over the weekend because obviously he still follows and hears a lot about OU softball, you know, listening to sports talk radio down there in Oklahoma. And he said, I think Oklahoma, their lineup might have more power from top to bottom, but Nebraska's pitching is a lot better. And he said, I definitely think I'd take better pitching and deeper pitching than the lineup.
Yeah, you need dominant pitchers. You know, you need Jordy Fromm and Alexis Jensen in regionals, supers, a World Series. If you have a generational lineup, yeah, you can outslug, win games 15-13. But when it comes to World Series time, usually dominant pitchers lead you to a trophy. You mentioned Oklahoma and Kendall Wells. I don't know if you've been following this story. She's hit 30 home runs already this year. Mm-hmm. 30 home runs in a really good league.
Yeah.
I got to see what they're hitting as a team in terms of home runs. It's very similar of Oklahoma teams that you see every year. They've hit this. Let me make sure that this is the right year. This can't be correct, but I think
they've hit it
144.
Yes, yeah, it's unbelievable. That's what the ability to hit the long ball has been really, that's what they do well. But
Ella Parker's hit 17. She's in second by 13 home runs. They have one who's players hit 16 home runs. 2 players have hit 16.
Yeah.
A total of 6 players that have hit at least 10 home runs in their lineup.
Yeah, but their weakness has been more so in the circle. So, and I don't know. I still would take, you know, like you said, you saw it with Texas Tech, you saw it with Tennessee. When you have those kinds of arms, they can carry you a long ways.
Yeah, they had some of those similar issues last year in the circle, and they got one of the top pitchers from LSU, Sidney Berzon, transferred over to Oklahoma. They're pitching right now to a 2.73 ERA, and we'll talk more about, you know, teams like that when we get closer to the regionals, because now you're talking Nebraska in the national picture.
Yeah.
that naturally brings in conversations about, some of the other teams that are in contention for a national championship, which I think is the biggest thing that Husker fans should celebrate. You have two really darn good stick and ball teams in the spring, which is you cannot take that for granted. You have a top 5 team. You have a team that is a top 20 team in baseball that could host a regional. You could have postseason baseball here for quite some time. I think the baseball team is going to have some work to do to host a regional, just biases that take place in that process, in that selection process. But you could have home baseball here in Lincoln for a long time.
These are legitimate, top 20, top 10 teams.
Nebraska baseball, forget about softball. I think they're a top 3 team in the country. But baseball, I think, is what has taken a lot of people by surprise. I don't think a lot of people are surprised by softball. When we had Rhonda here in February, we kind of knew that best case scenario, everybody stays healthy, that this team is going to contend for a national championship. You have a generational player. I don't think we knew Alexis Jensen was going to be what she was. Maybe they did. You brought in Jesse Farrell. I think they understood what they had in their lineup. I don't quite know if Will Bolt understood what this team was going to become. They have a good culture, good chemistry. Just some guys that are playing out of their mind right now and they were 18-2 in March. They've won 10 straight. They've won, I think, 21 of the last 22, 11-1 in conference play. They're 15-0 at home. It's just both teams have played really well here.
I think, we've talked a lot about that with other sports and how important it was to men's basketball and kind of protecting the home court, if you will. It's the same thing with baseball and softball, protecting the home field. You
want to rack up wins in conference, but to be a good conference team, you have to win games at home. It's hard to win games on the road in baseball and softball when you're traveling, playing every day. You have to protect your house, and both teams have done that. I think we expected softball to do that. Did we expect? And the success in the midweeks is part of that 15-0, right? That was an issue for baseball.
Which has not always been the easiest thing for us for baseball.
Happen again tomorrow. They'll have Kansas in town, which is a good team.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. All right, going to get to a break here. Coming up next, going to talk some men's basketball. Fred Hoiberg met with the media today. Got some pretty big news to talk about. And by the way, we didn't even talk about it here because we haven't actually had a chance to because we didn't have a show on Friday. But congratulations to Fred Hoiberg, Coach of the Year, AP Coach of the Year. AP
Coach of the Year, certainly deserving. Boy, what a run, what a dream season it is. And again, I think it's the building of more consistency, more towards what we saw this year than years prior.
All right, so we'll hear from the National Coach of the Year coming up next here on Sports Nightly.
Nebraska Lottery.
Do you have a new lotto game called Nebraska Pick 4?
Yes, sir. It costs just $1 to play. There's a $6,000 top prize with drawings every day, and you can choose from 6 different bet types.
Kind of like Nebraska Pick 3 with a bigger jackpot and more bet options?
Yes, sir. Any other questions I can answer?
Yeah, I misplaced my phone. Do you know where it is?
You're using it.
Ah, so I am. You lottery people know everything.
Straight bet top prize odds 1 in 10,000.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts. From the chant of Husker Power to Allo Fiber powering your home and Husker Nation, Allo is the teammate you can trust. Whether you're streaming at home with Allo Internet, watching on the go with DirecTV through Allo, or checking stats and scores on Allo Mobile, Allo keeps you in the game. With Allo plus DirecTV plus Allo Mobile, you get the ultimate teamwork. Internet you can count on, TV you can stream anytime, anywhere, and nationwide coverage you can depend on. Bench the other guys and team up with the official Internet, TV, and mobile partner of the Huskers.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns: a free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Once a year, A rhythm thunders across the countryside. It can't be tamed. It can only be driven.
It's the final days of Ford Truck Month. The stampede of savings is running. But it's about to run out. So hurry into your Midwest Ford dealers today. During the final days of Truck Month, get $7,250 cash or 0% for 60 with 0 down and no payments for 90 days, plus $1,000 cash on F-150.
Get to Ford Truck Month.
The color red means something to us. It means tough, ready, and powerful. It means our standards are high, and we expect the highest level of performance on and in the field. So while the Huskers are getting it done on the football field, you can count on Massey Ferguson tractors to get it done in your field. With its seamless CVT transmission and efficient AGCO-powered engine, you'll keep charging down the field all season long. Check out the full line of Massey Ferguson equipment at Osceola Implement in Osceola and True Ag and Turf in Falls City, Columbus, and Osmond.
Nebraska Lottery.
Do you have a new lotto game called Nebraska Pick 4?
Yes, sir. It costs just $1 to play. There's a $6,000 top prize with drawings every day, and you can choose from 6 different bet types.
Kind of like Nebraska Pick 3 with a bigger jackpot and more bet options?
Yes, sir. Any other questions I can answer?
Yeah, I misplaced my phone. Do you know where it is?
You're using it.
Ah, so I am. You lottery people know everything.
Straight bet top prize odds 1 in 10,000.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, where it's mower season. Get 0% financing, professional setup, and local support you can't get at the big box store. Only at Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer.
Almost.
Welcome to Back to Sports Nightly with Kyle Crooks. I'm Jessica Coody. I've almost got it memorized.
They switched it up on her. So we've had the same Akrs read for years. They changed it, and Jess has been annoying all of us by reading it, trying to memorize it.
3 minutes. I just read it over and over again.
And she tried. She got about halfway, and then she looked down at the paper.
It's live. I just want to make sure I got it right, But
live is when it matters most. It's a shame.
You also lifted up your head to make sure I got it right too.
Yeah.
That I didn't look
Once
down.
you saw me starting to stare, the pressure was on.
Yeah, it was. Well, Fred Hoiberg met with the media today to do a postseason recap, one final meeting with the media, and got a lot of news today, starting with some injury news with Price Sanford, and that sports hernia is going to require surgery. So we had talked a little bit about the potential of him maybe going through the NBA pre-draft process. You can do that and then declare and then come back, just get a feel for where you might stand. But it sounds like, again, he's going to have surgery this week, and coach even, broke the news a little bit, on a few of these players before they've announced. But it sounds like Price, he said he should be back by the time summer practices start, coming in, when they can get on the floor in, June and July. So I guess that's good news for Husker basketball fans.
Yeah, and he was battling through a lot.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the year, it makes even more remarkable some of the performances we saw from Price,
especially at the end of the season.
He was really feeling it and really hurting. So you wouldn't know that as a fan, and unless you were in it and you were talking to people around the program. So it's good that he'll get that fixed, and it does mess up sort of that evaluation process from the NBA. But my expectation is, and I hope he does come back to play one more year at least for college. And I think maybe that's the expectation and what they're expecting, and Fred and his staff. But a good thing, they'll get this surgery done and have a handful of weeks. I'm sure it's a pretty lengthy rehabilitation process from that.
He also updated on a couple of the other injuries. Connor Esijan coming off the ankle injury, and said that he's progressing along nicely. They don't want to rush it, but that here soon they're hoping that he'll be 100%. He's doing some running and even some shooting, but they're hoping that, again here maybe in the next couple of weeks that he'll be able to do more on-court training.
Yeah, I think he's kind of like jogging or running straight line stuff, and eventually he'll be good to go for basketball activities, but he should be a go for when practices start for the season, right? You hope that he's able to have a good ramp up enough with basketball activities in the summer leading up to, actual practices leading up to the season. So the expectation is they'll have a a fully healthy Connor Essegian heading into the year.
And listen, we talked about it all season long. Oogie would have been a help for this team this year. He would have added depth on the bench. He's another one of those stretch bigs that Coach Hoiberg really loves. He can shoot it. And, he just could not get healthy, just struggled, just had a lingering injury. And anytime he'd get close, it just would keep bothering him. And so we gave an update on that. And he's continuing to try to work through it and will continue to be a work in progress, but they're hoping to get him back healthy as well.
Yeah, it seems like it's a lingering thing and more of a pain tolerance deal than anything. Dealing with those core and back injuries. Fred had mentioned he's doing some core strengthening exercises, and it's a shame because he would have been such a big part of this team. Maybe got them over a hump against a team like Iowa in some of those close games when they didn't have Rink or didn't have Frager against Michigan, and having where they had to play Leo, Curtis, and so there's getting him to hopefully be healthy. It just seems like it's probably going to be something that is always going to be lingering for him. But can he have that pain tolerance necessary?
Sometimes, I coming from someone, I have degenerative disc disorder in my back. And a lot of the recommendations is to build the core. And so I think with him having the back issues, that's probably what they're really attacking to strengthen the core. Lauren Chamberlain, who was the all-time home run leader before it got broken, probably going to get broken again here shortly. But she also dealt with bad back injuries, and she had to do a lot of that too. So hopefully, if they find the right kind of, besides just the rehab, but the core strengthening, it can hopefully fix some some of those issues.
Yeah, whatever Oogie uses, maybe he could tell me, because I got
You got back issues too?
I got also. It's my posture.
Oh,
my posture
get straight, man.
My posture's terrible. I'm a big time sloucher. And if anybody's in our audience is a sloucher, let me know, because
you also drag your feet when you walk too.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm glad you pay attention to those things.
Just not the montage with your calls.
Yeah.
All right, so let's hear from the head coach, Fred Hoiberg, and just going to play you a couple of the highlights from the press conference today. But starting with, he was asked how much clarity he's gotten about which current players will be back for next season.
Obviously we've had a lot of conversations with that, Wilson, and we feel good. We feel really good about the core group of guys that we will have back next year. And, those conversations are ongoing, exactly what it's going to look like. But we feel good about the initial talks that we've had. That's the biggest thing, is retention. When you look at our team from last year, a lot of those guys that played significant roles were guys that were in our program, and guys that knew the culture, the standard, and everybody that came in, really lived up to that. And a lot of that was because of the returners, and they let them know what was expected. So very important that we get those guys back, and we feel really good that we're going to have a good group of core returners that will be back in a Husker uniform next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's big from the standpoint, right, of culture, a continuation of culture from what you had last year, to have the same guys around, some of the same voices here. Roster retention is something that we tend to take for granted.
Yeah.
A lot of coaches, because you talk about new. What's the next thing out there that we can get that can help us? And then you take for granted the pieces that you have, and you just assume those pieces are going to come back. But a huge part of what Luca and Fred and the entire staff over there are trying to, the first thing they do is to make sure the players on that team that are eligible are able to come back and stay and continue to build on what they've done.
Yeah, and look, the tampering exists, and if you don't think that basically every one of those players haven't been offered from elsewhere, and the fact that they wanted to stay here and be a part of this here, I think speaks volumes to that culture and wanting to stay and be a part of it. I mean, we've talked a lot about that with Husker volleyball and some of the program. Even, Husker football, they had a great retention rate after coming off the bowl game last year. So it speaks volumes to that when you don't always have you're not maybe matching some of the biggest offers that they can get, but it's the other qualities of the programs that they want to stay and be a part of. And Coach Hoiberg did, in one of the answers, mention the prices. He mentioned Braden Frager, BK, Kale. Who else am I missing? He mentioned a lot of those big pieces that will be back in a couple of his answers. And so while those guys have not officially announced, he did kind of break the news today in a couple of those answers.
Yeah, which is good to hear that they have good communication there. I think There's always the indecision from the players in this new era as to what their next step is going to be. And when it's essentially a yearly free agency where you're signing almost 1-year contracts, if you're a player that has an agent, the agent's going to be in your ear telling you, hey, let's test the market and see if we can get more money. It just sometimes it matters to the players. What matters to them is the system. The most important is the most money, the most important thing. So there's a lot of things for them to have to kind of look through.
All right, Coach Hoiberg was also asked, the portal opens tomorrow, so you'll see a flood of names. So, by the way, the women's open today, over, 1,100 names in the portal just today. So I'm sure we'll see a similar kind of influx of names into the portal tomorrow when it opens on the men's side of things. But Coach Hoiberg was asked about the qualities in players that this staff wants to target from the portal.
Well, I don't think it's any secret on what we lose and, what we're going to need to replace. We're going to need some help in the backcourt with, with losing Sam and losing Jamarcus, and then with what you lose with Rink in the front court with a skilled big that did so many things for us. You could play through him. He was the anchor of our defense, a really good pick-and-roll defender, and, really helped us elevate our defense this year, all three of those guys. So we're going to have to replace that. Both ends, if you can get a two-way players in those spots, it's very important. But when you look at our needs, that's the biggest thing, especially with what we've got returning.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to judge if you're Fred, and things that when you look at who's returning. I know this, and I think, he said this when he talked to the media today, is the expectations are still high. I think he feels really, really good about what they have coming back to this roster. They do all their evaluation process prior to the portal. Of course, it's not being sprung upon them that the portal's being open tomorrow. They know exactly who they want to go after. They know exactly what their evaluations are. They know who's going to fit. And then whether it's the first Zoom meeting or whether it's that first meeting on campus, I think you can't be on campus until the 10th. I think it's the first time that you can bring guys on campus, but you could do Zoom meetings right away. They know exactly how they're going to attack this. They have a plan. They know what that perfect roster is going to look like.
All right, how about what matters more, fit or money?
Yeah, I mean, it's all part of it. It's one big old pie, and there's all those are pieces of the pie that you talked about. And ideally, yes, you get the player that fits all those categories, and those are the ones that we're identifying right now, and we'll be ready to pounce on when they do end up going into the portal. And you just got to do the best that the best job you can do with what you have. And, we're prepared to do that. We're thankful we're in a much better position this year than we were a year ago going into this time of year. And, we're going to be ready to maximize that and do the best job we can.
Fred mentioned pie. What do you think Fred's favorite pie is, by the way? You think he's a pumpkin pie guy? Lemon meringue?
We do the TV show on Thursday. I'll have to ask him.
Tell him Kyle asked what his favorite pie is.
I also was asked, too, if his, what are they called? The
glasses?
Well, what are they? They're like, well, yeah, but his readers or his...
Readers or prescription?
Or if they're prescription or if he got them from, like, the gas station.
Oh, isn't that kind of a slight? Isn't that you're making fun of the man's glasses?
Well, like because a lot of people just...
Like if you said, hey, Kyle... nice jacket, dude. You get that from the gas station? You'd probably be I probably wouldn't take that well.
No, well, like if it's just readers, sometimes you don't need the fancy ones.
So you think lemon meringue pie?
I've been asked some random questions is what I'm getting at about Coach Hoiberg that I'll have to ask.
Well, he's
too.
the most interesting man in the world nowadays. And you mentioned too that the rev share number is going to go up. The resources they have to get players now is different than it was last year. Like he said, they are in a much better spot 365 days later than they were after they won the crown last year, to see how much that mattered, right? For that roster, for those guys to go through that postseason experience, albeit not an NCAA tournament. I think a lot of those conversations will be had around Auburn men's basketball, just won the NIT last night. I think that'll help them moving forward. It's clear that this program's in the best spot that it's been probably ever.
Yeah, and look, a lot of people loved what they saw to this program, believe it's going to continue on the upward trajectory, and they want to be a part of that. So I think you had some donors step up and some people that want to invest in that program. I also thought it was great what he said about, getting the players in and then figuring out what works best for them instead of just getting players, the best players. And we've kind of talked about that with Jamarcus Lawrence. And this time last year, when there were some people maybe saying, oh, well, they didn't get this guy, or why didn't we go for this guy? But they got guys that fit the culture and the system. And so they get the guys here and get the best that they feel like can fit here. And then they figure out what works best for this team. And kind of like what Dana Holgorsen has said about the offense and figuring out throughout the spring, what does this offense do best, and then tailoring it to that. And I think that was kind of a interesting point that he said today too, is, hey, let's get them on the court in the summer and find out what works best for this team.
They didn't have a true point guard this year, right? Jamarcus is somebody who didn't play point guard in high school, played a little bit more at Rhode Island, came back and had more experience in that role. Sam's more of an off guard. Kale played that hybrid, bring the ball up role. So they didn't have a true point guard facilitator. And that's kind of what Fred dove into today. They're going to need a big that's versatile, that can shoot, but also what Rink did defensively, pick and roll defense, his ability to defend without fouling, guard guys that may be quicker than him, just keeping them in front without fouling. He did so much outside of just the scoring aspect.
Yep. Some big roles to fill, and I guess we'll start to see how that is going to unfold here over the next couple of days as that portal opens tomorrow. They'll probably have some guys on campus. Probably already got a pretty good idea of who they want to target, so we'll probably start kind of figuring out how that roster is going to be filled out here over the next couple of weeks. So excited to kind of see how.
There's a buzz though, Jess. There's
I know,
a buzz around.
It's exciting. This is fun.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the pieces and how they put it all together with what's returning, and it's something to be excited about for sure. All right, got to get to a break. Got a couple more segments left before we have our Nebraska baseball hour here coming up in hour number 2. So we got more coming up right after this.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health, and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraskachiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your basement and damaging your home. Mold, cracks, and of course visible water are just a few signs your basement is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Noddle Companies proudly supports the Huskers Radio Network. As a full-service leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Noddle Hospitality's latest venture in Aksarben Village, and the contemporary living of row house townhomes on Leavenworth. We're welcoming world-class concepts from men's fashion and great eats to gorgeous homes and green spaces, all professionally managed by Noddle Services. These are the Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect that water is the reason parts of your concrete have gotten so uneven. Walkway tripping hazards, sinking pool deck, cracked driveways are dangerous threats to everyone's safety. But there's one way to learn how your concrete can be lifted. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
The work is dirty and sometimes dangerous. It's the kind that can break your body, and if you let it, your spirit. But while there may be better ways to make a living, you won't convince me there's a better way to live. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board. For more than 50 years, Woodhouse has been proud to serve our communities. We're more than a dealership. We're your neighbor, your partner, and your trusted name in automotive. Generations of drivers have counted on Woodhouse for honesty, transparency, and a hassle-free experience. Every deal starts at the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then we apply discounts and rebates to get you to your true price. No gimmicks, no surprises. Shop local, shop trusted at woodhouse.com. Hassle-free all the way to your driveway. That's Woodhouse.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Welcome back to Sports Nightly with Kyle Crooks. I'm Jessica Coody. A couple of segments left for me, and then Kyle. And
where are you going?
Holt. Maybe try to walk Sunny again.
Okay, that sounds fun.
And then I'm going to go watch this basketball game tonight. We're going to make picks here in the next
There's
segment.
this little basketball thing happening tonight, I guess.
Yeah, so Big Ten is 1-1 this weekend, so they won the women's. UCLA
sweep.
Won their first NCAA national title, so looking for a Big Ten sweep tonight. We'll get into that here in the next segment, but mentioned this here last segment, but wild to see the news, kind of how crazy it was. Talia Goodman of On3 does a great job covering the women's basketball portal, and again, over 1,100, I think, names. Another Husker into the portal today with Claire Johnson, so that makes 3 into the portal for Nebraska with, again, Claire Johnson, Petra Bojan, and Jess Petrie, which we talked about last week. And so, again, we've got the trio of the freshmen coming in. If everyone else is retained, you got to think you got probably 2 or 3 spots to bring in, and maybe probably a big and a guard would be my guess.
Yeah, it's you're gonna lose in the portal. You're gonna lose players. You're gonna gain players. So it opens up more spots. It allows Amy to be a little bit more creative when going out into the portal. Just like on the men's side, they have a good idea of what they need to do, but what kind of players fit that system personally. And that portal opening today will be very similar. I probably would be surprised if the numbers aren't even higher in terms of entrance into the portal on the men's side than it is on the women's side. But it is a crazy number. And what's not talked about enough and not warned about enough is some of these players don't find a home. They go in and they think that they're going to get scooped up, and sometimes the grass isn't always greener, is the saying. But there is a lot to pick from in the portal.
It's going to be wild tomorrow, too, to see the first day of portal names. And, Talia also pointed out that she felt like this year, maybe more than ever, well, I guess more than the last couple of years, there's been players that entered with a do not contact tag, so that players that going in already knowing where they're going.
Yeah, it's funny how that works, right?
Yeah. But I think there's probably, again, with the rev share, the first year of the rev share in women's basketball, a part of probably pretty much most athletic departments, right? I mean, I think probably most athletic departments include women's basketball in their rev share portions, and so there's more money to be spent on women's basketball. So I got to imagine that probably plays a part in it too, that they can go after some players and say, hey, this is what we can offer you.
Yeah, there's more money in the game that there's ever been. And I know UCLA is losing a lot of their team that just won a national championship. So that might be one of the destinations you see some of the top players go to. And you've seen some really big names on the women's side go into the portal. Yeah. Audi Crooks from Iowa State being probably the biggest place that I was at, one of the best guards in the country, and Liv McGill just went in today. I mean, you're seeing Tennessee women's basketball, they don't have a team right now. There's not a single player that is on their current roster today, whether it's freshmen asking out of their national letter of intent or it's players that have transferred out and then the graduation piece. There's nobody on their roster.
It's almost like at this point, winning is important, but also what you do with your roster, and if there's a mass exodus, could also maybe get you in as much trouble as winning.
Yeah, it just shows it tells you behind the scenes that there's a whole lot of other issues aside from losses. In a place like Tennessee, it probably tells you there's some culture issues. A lot of people would say, oh, it's on the coach. It's on, it's got to be on the coaches, the staff. But sometimes it's the players, too. It's the players' responsibility to rally and put together a good culture. I just think a place like Tennessee that is so historically, it's just a footnote. It's not just a footnote, but it's such
shocking.
It's a huge part of the history of the sport. Yeah. And to see where they're at.
I wanted to play for Pat Summitt.
I mean, but even with Pat Summitt not there, is like everyone wants to play there, right? Because of the brand, the Lady Vol brand, and the fact they don't have a single person that's there right now is, man, that's
probably pretty scary for that program.
Yeah, uncharted territory.
Other transfer portal news today: the heavyweight AJ Ferrari has entered the transfer, or intends to enter the transfer portal. And I know Coach Manning addressed it today and just thought, hey, it's time to part ways. I don't think many people are shocked by that. And Coach Manning had addressed it even at the beginning of the season. He needed to learn how to be a part of this program, and it's different than I think a lot of places. And it's just you got to be a part of the team. And it's as much as it is individual when you go out there on the mat, it's very much a team culture. And it just, I don't know if it was the right fit. And so, it's going to part ways there. It was big news, I think, the week you were hired or the week you were here for your interview.
I remember listening to a lot of Husker podcasts, and it was a lot of AJ Ferrari talk. So it was, it's part of the risk that you take, right? When you want to win championships, it's the battle as a coach. You bring in guys or gals that are difference makers, right? But maybe it's oil and water when you get in that locker room, and it's somebody who just doesn't mesh. That's why Fred really hammers that home. You can't just throw money at anything. It's got to be somebody who's, if the money's at a right spot, but also it's just somebody who mixes. The skill set's one thing, but you got to have somebody that's good in that locker room.
Look, and let me tell you, they are really, really excited about Cade Ziola. We saw flashes of it last year when he was inserted into the lineup when AJ was hurt or was out, and so he's got a tremendous upside, the Nebraska kid. So I think can be pretty excited about the future there at heavyweight. So that was
Jace's brother. Jace, reliever on the baseball team.
Yep. So that was the other portal news today. So, all right, going to get to a break. Final segment here of hour number 1 coming up next.
Set, hike. When champions take the field, they come ready to play. TNL Irrigation understands the value of momentum. Like a Husker drive, there's no stopping. If you live for farming and football like we do, TNL Irrigation has you covered. Check your fields from the game with a remote system, or just enjoy the play knowing our systems are reliable as a sold-out Memorial Stadium. Touchdown! Nebraska born, Nebraska strong. Husker Nation and TNL Irrigation are like no other.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts. From the chant of Husker Power to Allo Fiber powering your home and Husker Nation, Allo is the teammate you can trust. Whether you're streaming at home with Allo Internet, watching on the go with DirecTV through Allo, or checking stats and scores on Allo Mobile, Allo keeps you in the game. Bench the other guys and team up with the official Internet, TV, and mobile partner of the Huskers. Go Gig Red. Visit allofiber.com/Husker Radio.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, where it's mower season. Get 0% financing, professional setup, and local support you cannot get at the big box store, only at Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer. Welcome back. Final segment here of Sports Nightly with Kyle Crooks. I'm Jessica Coody. Hey, it's pretty cool today. The first ever flag football recruit was here on campus.
Yes, very, very cool.
With the Sauer sisters. And I won't say the name, but it was the quarterback. And I'm telling you, just interacting with them a little bit, seeing how they recruit, this program's going to win.
Yeah, they're the pioneers in it, right?
Yeah.
So I think I read something in the Big 12. They want to eventually invest in flag football, making that a varsity sport. Nebraska's going to have a head start on everybody when it comes to Power 4 colleges. They were the first major Power 4 school to adopt flag football as a varsity sport. So they're going to have a leg up with the two champions they have as their head coach. I mean, it's, the equivalent of having the Nick Saban of the sport come in and you're going to have a head start in recruiting. That's for sure. So to have the first recruit, and think of the history for that recruit, right? If they sign and all that, you're the first. That's awesome.
I was talking to her and her mom, and the mom was like, "This is amazing!" And they were just blown away. Again, just getting to experience this and being recruited at a place like Nebraska and having this kind of opportunity. It's just really cool. And so I'm so excited to be able to follow, the recruiting process and the potential players they bring in, and just how they lay the foundation for what's going to be done here at Nebraska. I'm telling you, they are here to win, and as much as they're about growing the sport and educating and wanting to make sure that Husker Nation gets behind this, they also want to win. It's hey, they're not just about rah-rah. We want to support this women's sport. They are also very, very invested in competing for championships with this sport. So it's going to be exciting. All right, quickly, just a few minutes left. So UCLA women's basketball wins the national championship yesterday, looking for a Big Ten sweep tonight with Michigan and UConn. I believe you picked UConn, right? You had UConn,
I did.
Arizona.
I had this title game.
You had Michigan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Michigan, UConn. Because you had Illinois, right?
Yeah, I had it all Big Ten.
Yeah. I thought
you had Arizona.
I honestly don't. I think I had it because of the Big Ten connection. I wanted to have a Big Ten team, so I think I definitely had Michigan.
So Michigan coming in as a 6.5-point favorite. You rolling with the
very
Big Ten?
Big for a title game. That's a big number. I think I was talking to Brady. I would have Michigan to win the game. I think it's closer. I think the spread's like 6.5, right? So I would have UConn. UConn's never lost a title game. Were they 6-0 all time? And Danny Hurley is what he is in Final Fours. They're the underdog coming into this game. That scares me a little bit if I'm a Michigan fan. I think UConn keeps it close. I think it's a one-possession game. Lendenborg, his injury, what does that look like heading into this game? I'll still take Michigan. Would it shock me if UConn upsets them? Absolutely not.
Listen, if Michigan can repeat the performance they did to Arizona, I mean, they just look flat out dominant.
They beat them up. And Arizona was the best team all year, essentially.
And Arizona, everybody thought was... I think a lot of people had Arizona winning it. So,
just think of how
impressive.
close Nebraska was without Rink and Braden in that game on the road from beating this Michigan team that is 40 minutes away from a national championship.
Yeah, I mean, so if they can repeat that, I'm rolling with Michigan. Probably why the point spread is what it is, because of how they looked against Arizona.
Big Ten sweep. I'm all about the Big Ten now.
Big Ten sweep. Let's stop the drought with the national titles. And very, very glad there's not very much SEC talk in this tournament.
My buddy, shout out my buddy Brian Bush. He's the basketball voice at Michigan. He was here in Memorial, and we talked to him on the interview for the pregame. Excited for him. Gets to call his first national championship game, and hoping that they win for him.
Okay, very quickly, Art in Los Angeles said, Kyle can slouch and drag his feet all he wants. He is still the world's best football announcer. And one cool guy, Kyle is number one. Go Big
Nobody's
Red.
cooler than Art in L.A.
He's got to text in at least 3 times a week.
Thank you, Art.
Telling us that Kyle's the best announcer, world's best announcer.
Nobody else believes it, but
all right, that's going to do it for me. Coming up next, our Nebraska Baseball Hour with Kyle and Coach Bolt. We will be back on Wednesday because no show tomorrow for baseball, but we'll be back on Wednesday with a full 2 hours. Keep it here on Sports Nightly.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
For more than 50 years, Woodhouse has been proud to serve our communities. We're more than a dealership. We're your neighbor, your partner, and your trusted name in automotive. Generations of drivers have counted on Woodhouse for honesty, transparency, and a hassle-free experience. Every deal starts at the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then we apply discounts and rebates to get you to your true price. No gimmicks, no surprises. Shop local, shop trusted at woodhouse.com. Hassle-free all the way to your driveway. That's Woodhouse.
It's not a job. I don't start my day by logging in or end my shift by punching out. I don't have a corner office, but I do have a seat with a view. I get to see every sunrise and every sunset. And while I may technically be my own boss, I fully accept that I am not in charge. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
The color red means something to us. It means tough, ready, and powerful. It means our standards are high, and we expect the highest level of performance on and in the field. So while the Huskers are getting it done on the football field, you can count on Massey Ferguson tractors to get it done in your field. With its seamless CVT transmission and efficient AGCO-powered engine, you'll keep charging down the field all season long. Check out the full line of Massey Ferguson equipment at Osceola Implement in Osceola and True Ag and Turf in Falls City, Columbus, and Osmond.
Once a year, a rhythm thunders across the countryside. It can't be tamed. It can only be driven.
It's the final days of Ford Truck Month. The stampede of savings is running, but it's about to run out. So hurry into your Midwest Ford dealers today. During the final days of Truck Month, get $7,250 cash or 0% for 60 with zero down and no payments for 90 days, plus $1,000 cash on F-150.
Get to Ford Truck Month.
It's time for the Nebraska Baseball Coaches Show.
That's the deepest single you're probably going to see from Dylan Carey. It does score a run. And this ball shot into right field off the bat of Jet Buck, sending Porter back to the wall. A grand slam! Jet Buck does it for Nebraska. And the Huskers putting it on the Nittany Lions early.
Brought to you by your Midwest Ford dealers.
Here's Rhett Stokes. 6th start at second base today. Has runners at first and second. Both runners take off. First pitch is blasted in the air. Deep left field. Jakonski back. It's gone. Rhett Stokes is scorching hot. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Pitch. That's raked on the ground to short. Carried his second for 1. Turn to first. Of course. Double play. Katski's fired up. And if that ends his day, take a bow, Cooper Katski.
Now with Will Bolt, here's your host, Kyle Crooks, on the Huskers Radio Network.
Welcome in. It's a good time to talk Nebraska baseball. With that, we have the Nebraska Baseball Show with Will Bolt. Kyle Crooks here with you on this Monday. A lot to talk about for Husker baseball. Another great week. A team that is just rolling right now. Also talked to Mac Moyer in the final segment. Nick Hanley had a chance to catch up with him. With that, we welcome in studio once again, like we do every Monday. That is head coach of your Husker baseball team, Will Bolt. Coach, it is a good time to be you, and it's a good time to be associated with Husker baseball. How you been?
Great. Yeah, just a lot of 3 baseball games in 24 hours over the weekend, so a lot packed in, but it's always a great feeling, wearing the black uniforms on Sunday and finishing off another 4-0 week and a 3-0 weekend, and just gathering some more momentum for the next week. So,
yeah, won 10 straight. You've won 21 of the last 22 games. Let's start with the rivalry game against Creighton. I feel like I'm sure you convey the message of what that game means for some of the newcomers, and at transfer age, rivalries can diminish a little bit. I don't feel like that's the case with Nebraska and Creighton. That was a fun game during the midweek.
Yeah, it definitely, a lot of guys know each other, from each roster and grew up playing either together or against each other, maybe some of them even in high school together, or high school rivals. So there's a lot of familiarity there. We played 3 games every year. So there have always been close games. That game was a little bit different than the ones we've played in the past, where we jumped on them first and then made them kind of play catch up a little bit, and were able to hold them off at the end. But yeah, I just felt like we played really well. We had a couple of big innings there, and our pitching was great. Obviously, we had the 1 bad inning on the mound, but did what it took to win, and it was good to be on the right side of it.
Yeah, there's not many teams that can survive giving up a 5 spot like you did against Creighton. It just shows the consistency of this offense, and that'll be a common trend of what we talk about here over the next hour. But it's not just the number 1 hitter, 2, 3, 4. It's 7, 8, and 9. It's the middle of the order. I say this to Nick and Ben all the time, because I've had teams that I've covered in the past that have really struggled offensively. I know that was at times what you dealt with last year. Mm-hmm. But this team is constant traffic. You look up, first and second, nobody out. Second and third, 1 out. It is just consistent the way you guys put pressure on opponents.
Yeah, and in that game in particular, I was proud of kind of how we were able to grind through some things too, because we hit 19 balls that were considered barrels in that game. A lot of them with not anything to show for it, like hard ground balls, line outs, fly balls to the deepest part of that giant ballpark, and could be one of those situations where you just think, oh, well, we did our part. It's just not one of those days that, the hits didn't fall for us. And that's why the other aspects of offense really have to come into play. And we scored on a sacrifice fly that barely traveled 200 foot. Jeter Worthley, he's one of the fastest guys on our team, but just made a big-time heads-up play. Scoring on a sac fly. Dylan put the ball in play with 2 strikes. That was a run. He's out, but he didn't just assume the out either. There was a hard slide into the plate, and it ended up knocking the ball out of the catcher's mid, and that was a run. And you could say, well, that could be the difference in the game there. We also didn't assume on a fly ball to left that it was just going to be caught. Josh Overbeek was hustling out of the box and got to third base. He later scored on an infield 2-strike ground ball to first base, where we kind of just happened to change the lead over at third base with 2 strikes, so he'd be a little more aggressive. And he beat that ball to the plate. There's no play at the plate there. So we're able to score runs in a couple of different ways that are a little bit more unconventional. I just think it just kind of speaks to the guys just willing to do what it takes to win. And there's something to be said about that. And that's something that we talk about, we train for. We want to be about those things. And it's one thing to just stand up there and hit. It's another thing to actually play baseball and play winning baseball. And that's what I'm most proud about with these guys is they just want to win. They want to do what it takes to win. When the moment comes, they know what the game's asking of them, and they're willing to give it for their team. And that's what we saw in that Tuesday game.
Yeah, I'm interested from the strategy of it from your perspective and coaches' challenges and using them early in games. I think we saw a first-inning challenge over the weekend against Penn State. One you have to have, and we see it at the big league level now with ABS and how players have to make that decision and don't make a wrong one so early in the game. But for you, your philosophy in using challenges early in games and also trusting your players that maybe they're steering you in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't really look at it like I'm going to try to save anything because usually you don't usually use two in a game, So I've always had the philosophy of if I feel like the call needs to be looked at closer, yes, I trust the players. Yes, I trust the base coaches as well. But if I feel like it's close enough to be looked at, we're going to do it. Now, it does vary from field to field. We get told ahead of time, like, hey, there's only X amount of cameras. Now at home, we have the best system there is. So there's a ton of views, great camera work. So we feel pretty confident they're going to get it right. Now, other places, maybe there's only a handful of cameras. So the umpires kind of give you a heads up ahead of time, like, hey, we may not have a look at this type of play, just so you're aware. I just think it's worth looking at. I think if we have replay, I'm not going to be reluctant to use both our challenges if I feel like we need to do it. Now, under certain circumstances, maybe that changes. But and then by the time the eighth inning rolls around, the home plate umpire can take it upon himself to challenge any call, and it doesn't have to come from the head coach. So that's always been my philosophy. Not right on all of them by any stretch, but there was the one yesterday where it was early in the game and it got overturned and ended up being a big inning for us.
Yeah, I know coming from the SEC, they have the Hawkeye technology, and some of those looks are incorporated into the video review. And I was asking Nick on the air, I said, outside of the Big Ten Plus broadcast, I assume you guys have more. Do you have some of those other looks outside of what's on the television broadcast?
Yeah, we have 12 views, 12 or 14. I can't remember the exact number, but there's a number of views that we have that basically is the maximum that you can possibly have. Now, I know the difference in the SEC is they don't do it there on site, so there's not, the umpires aren't looking at a screen there and trying to make the determination. They've got probably a better view of it because it's going
command center
in Birmingham. So I would like for us to get to that point.
Yeah, are we getting there eventually?
I mean, it's been brought up at the coaches' meetings, and I think it's a cost thing, probably more than anything. But yeah, it's certainly that would be the way to go. It also takes out any chance whatsoever of the human element, kind of the emotional side of it getting involved. They have made the change where the umpire that makes the call cannot go look at the play no matter what, even if it's the crew chief. It used to be the crew chief had to be involved, so if it was his call, we all were adamant, hey, if you were involved in the call, you do not get to look at the video. It's just human nature. But even just doing it off site like that, like the SEC does, I feel like gives them, it does take out that element of like having to go back to your partner and say, hey, we overturned your call, and it's coming from command center. So it is a little different there, but we're fortunate at Nebraska. We have the best technology possible for them to get the calls right.
Yeah, I know fans are probably like, why are you talking replay review after a big week? But it's just such a big part of the game now that we want to, as fans, probably get more clarity for it. So we're thankful that you give us that context. But your team right now, let's start with the pitching. I mean, Jay Sean, built for the big moments. He's perfect for that role that you have him in right now as the closer. And then your weekend starters, Ty probably, he'll have a bounce back start, you would think, on Friday against Oregon, which is going to be a ranked on ranked matchup. Yasa was the best. He's, one of the best starts. He had 11 strikeouts through a career high in pitches, but winds up throwing the distance in a run rule shortened game. And then you look at Katsuki yesterday. We talked kind of a similar start, slow start, but then you expect him to get through 6 or 7 innings.
Yeah, and to kind of touch on all those things, Ty just left too many pitches elevated. I mean, there are too many pitches elevated, didn't have the fastball command. they were ready to hit, and it was a great day to hit. So some of those balls that you may get away with on other days, you weren't getting away with those, but just didn't have the command there early in that game, and do expect him to bounce back and really come back with kind of that fire in his belly to really go prove something this week and set the tone for us on Friday. We said this about Yas, I think, the last 3 weeks. It's the best he's been in a Husker uniform. It's the best he's been in a Husker uniform. He's kind of validated that each week. Again, the misses, that's the thing for me, because there are going to be some walks, because there are going to be some 3-2 counts. There are going to be some at-bats where maybe he doesn't get the 50-50 calls, and they turn into walks, but the misses are so much smaller. There's just not those big misses where, he's bouncing a breaking ball, up there 5 feet in front of the plate, or where the wild pitch goes to the backstop because he throws it over the hitter's head. I mean, the misses are much smaller. The hitters have to be that much more locked in because he's being more precise with his command. It was an absolute clinic he put on with all of his pitches. Did a fantastic job. And then Katsky, it was exactly what we've seen.
It's incredible.
It's get the home run out of the way in the first inning, and they had 2 of their 3 hits off of him in the first inning. One was the first batter, next was the second batter of the game, and then he just kind of regroups. I think he punched the next guy out, and then got the next 3 hitters out, and then just kind of cruised. And I think there was one more home run in there from Anderson, who, man,
he's a stud.
He's a monster. He's one of the best hitters in our league. But 7 innings. 7 innings, 3 runs. It's exactly what a game manager like him can do, because he just attacks the strike zone.
And you don't blink. You go down 2-0, and I remember I said to Nick, and I said, I'm probably going to win this game 7-2, and Katsky's probably going to go 6 innings. It seems like this team, when you find an early deficit, and for other teams it's different, but you just don't blink when this team gets down. You're down 4 runs in game 1 of the series. You're down 5-1. You score 4 unanswered to win 8-7. This team, it just, I don't know if it's the veteran-laden aspect of what you have in your lineup, and then you also have true freshmen that are coming up and doing their thing, but there's no wavering from this group.
Yeah, I think it is starting to show up that this group plays with a lot of confidence, so there's never really a deficit that you feel like we can't overcome. I think we are averaging about 10 runs a game in the last 10 games, so you feel like there's no breaks in the lineup. Even our outs are pretty hard hit most of the time, and they're, we're really doing a good job of honing in on the strike zone. It just, these guys are committed to just playing baseball and just competing as hard as they can, and that's what makes it fun as to be part of teams like that, where you may not win every game. You're not going to. That's the way that baseball is designed. But if you just do what you can and to compete and stay driven to compete pitch to pitch and not really get caught up in everything else. That's what our offensive lineup does such a good job of, is they compete every pitch, they keep coming after you, and they make you earn everything you get.
Yeah, I said, if you're the opposing radio guy, this offense makes you just tear your hair out, because it's just consistent the way that you peck away and get runners on. Contact 811 2 days before you dig to protect your underground utilities and yourself. It's free, it's easy, it's the law. Plenty to talk about. The D1 baseball poll did come out today as well. The Huskers staying pat at 19 will take on 21st Oregon. They're number 21, so they dropped in the rankings a bit after the weekend. So we'll talk a little bit about them coming up and some of the other standouts over the weekend. That's coming up next here on the Nebraska Baseball Show with Will Bolt.
Once a year, a rhythm thunders across the countryside. It can't be tamed. It can only be driven.
It's the final days of Ford Truck Month. The stampede of savings is running, but it's about to run out. So hurry into your Midwest Ford dealers today. During the final days of Truck Month, get $7,250 cash or 0% for 60 with 0 down and no payments for 90 days, plus $1,000 cash on F-150.
Get to Ford Truck Month.
Life is busy. Wouldn't it be great if someone could help you manage your insurance?
Well, I do have a lot to keep on top of. Between the house, my life insurance, the car. Like Like you said, life is busy.
A local Trusted Choice independent insurance agent can help you with your research, coverage selection, pricing, and claims at no extra cost to you.
Which means I'll have more time to spend on other things.
Trusted Choice independent insurance agents. We'll help do your insurance. You just do you.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities, so do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today.
Visit mintmobile.com/radio. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Nebraska Lottery.
Do you have a new lotto game called Nebraska Pick 4?
Yes, sir. It costs just $1 to play. There's a $6,000 top prize with drawings every day, and you can choose from 6 different bet types.
Kind of like Nebraska Pick 3 with a bigger jackpot and more bet options?
Yes, sir. Any other questions I can answer?
Yeah, I misplaced my phone. Do you know where it is?
You're using it.
So I am. You lottery people know everything.
Straight bet top prize odds 1 in 10,000.
And now, introducing the starting lineup of your Nebraska Huskers. Starring Allo Fiber. At number 1, Allo Internet. At number 2, no satellite dish required. Direct TV through Allo. And at number 3, Allo Mobile. Allo Fiber, the official internet, TV, and mobile partner of Husker Nation. Level up your game and go to allofiber.com/Husker Radio.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your crawl space and damaging your home. Musty smells, sagging floors, mold are just a few signs your crawl space is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns: a free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Once a year, a rhythm thunders across the countryside. It can't be tamed. It can only be driven.
It's the final days of Ford Truck Month. The stampede of savings is running, but it's about to run out. So hurry into your Midwest Ford dealers today. During the final days of Truck Month, get $7,250 cash or 0% for 60 with 0 down and no payments for 90 days, plus $1,000 cash on F-150.
Get to Ford Truck Month.
The color red means something to us. It means tough, ready, and powerful. It means our standards are high, and we expect the highest level of performance on and in the field. So while the Huskers are getting it done on the football field, you can count on Massey Ferguson tractors to get it done in your field. With its seamless CVT transmission and efficient AGCO-powered engine, you'll keep charging down the field all season long. Check out the full line of Massey Ferguson equipment at Osceola Implement in Osceola and True Ag and Turf in Falls City, Columbus, and Osmond.
4, it's the Caddyshack Second Chance promotion from the Nebraska Lottery. Enter non-winning Caddyshack scratch tickets by April 22nd for a chance to win 2 VIP Nebraska golf passports and more. Caddyshack top prize odds, 1 in 116,000. Kyle Crooks, along with Will Bolt, back on the Nebraska Baseball Show. Let's go back to last week's trivia question. So it was last weekend, Dylan Carey, his 57th double, passed, I'm sorry, Coach, Will Bolt, for the most career doubles in program history. He had to name 2 of the other 3 Huskers that are in the top 5 career doubles list. Now, Salmon Silver Creek is the winner. Coach, I'm sure you know do you want to venture a guess at some of the 3 other names that are on that list in the top 5?
Yeah, I know Daniel Bruce is
Correct.
one of them. I know Alex Gordon. and Matt Hopper, I believe.
You got it.
Those are three.
You got all three. So you don't win anything.
No, it's all right. I've long time association with Nebraska baseball kind of has me up to date on a lot of the trivia questions, not just the ones that involve that kind of stuff. So.
You can ask him. You can ask Coach anything, and I remember the first trivia question. He had it like that. So, congrats, Salmon Silver Creek is last week's winner, and we will have the trivia question coming up in segment 4. Again, we'll hear from Mac Moyer later in the hour. Still plenty to do. Talking about a team that is red hot right now, 26-6, top 20 team in the country. Coach, you've won 10 straight games, 21 of the last 22. How about at home? The big part about being a good conference team is winning your games at home, and you're 15-0.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not missed on our team. I mean, that's something that we've really impressed upon them, again, with our goals and what we're trying to get accomplished. It's incredibly difficult to do. So you have to do things that nobody else is doing at times. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we're the only Power 4 conference team that has not lost a home game yet. So shout out to Husker Nation and our fans for packing the stands for us and providing that spark for our guys at home, but also for our players, understanding that protecting the home turf is really, really important for us to accomplish the goals that we want to accomplish each and every year.
How about Dylan Carey? We've said, his walk-up song, "No More Mr. Nice Guy." He definitely wasn't a nice guy after he had, 3 home runs taken away by the wind this weekend. He had one that was ultra close yesterday, too. He had the outfielder banging up against the wall, but talk about barrels. He had a lot of barrels this weekend.
Yeah, and he's been consistent, and he comes to bat with runners on base all the time because the guys in front of him are doing their job, and he's cashed in on an awful lot of them. I believe he's already got more RBI this year than he had all of last year. So he's cashing on those opportunities, and again, he's just missing some balls that are outs for him as well. But yeah, I think probably more than the bat, I think you'll ask Coach Childress and some of the pitchers. I mean, the defense that he plays at shortstop, it just cannot be overlooked.
Mac Moyer, I've asked this. I don't know what your expectations were for him this year. I did a lot of softball, Coach, and his numbers are softball-like. Mm-hmm. You don't have many guys hitting over 400 heading into April, and in April, his on base is, it's near the 500s, right? So, did you expect what you were going to get out of Mac?
I wouldn't say that I'd pencil in a 400 average going into April, but however, there have been signs that he has showed since he's been at Nebraska, and even again recruiting him. We recruited him because we felt like he was a heck of a baseball player, and he had a high baseball IQ. Came from one of the best junior college programs in the country. Obviously, grew up around the game of baseball. We knew we had a heck of a baseball player. We've kind of talked about this maybe on this show, but he was dinged up coming into the fall. He had elbow surgery on his throwing arm, which again, he didn't say a word about it, but I'm sure it affected him to a certain degree. Pulled his hamstring early in the fall, so was kind of hobbling around most of the time. And there's been flashes at times where you have watched him swing the bat and go, there's not many guys that can do what he can do. It's just got a flat swing. Mm-hmm. He can use the whole field. He's not just punching Judy in the ball up there and kind of just barely, hitting balls 92, 93 miles an hour. I mean, his best bullet's going to be 105 plus. So he can smoke the ball. So I would definitely think that we were expecting him to be a really good player for us. I figured it would be sooner rather than later that he would force our hand, kind of based on how the end of January was for him before we started the season. And again, he did exactly what you hope someone that wants more to do. Is he just said, I'm going to make it impossible for you to not play me. And he didn't start the first couple of games of the year, but he got his opportunities, late inning defensive replacement, had some good at-bats. And then you look up in game 4, and he has 4 hits, I think it was, and he hasn't been out of the lineup since. So really good player. We're very, very fortunate to have him here. He's a great clubhouse guy. He really cares about his teammates, and awfully proud of what he's done so far and the work he puts in to continue that consistent success.
How tough is it? Because you have a lot of guys now that make it really hard to take them out of a lineup. So when you have to pen a lineup, You're like, well, Grigo, we can't move him. We can't move Stokes.
Right.
And these are guys that got their opportunity and seized them. They weren't necessarily opening day guys that you factor in as the pencil it into the starting nine. So for you, putting together a lineup, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, and Stokes, what he's done is ultimately kind of exactly what he did in 2024 with that team. Some injuries kind of put him in the starting lineup. There were times where I'd pinch hit for him. If his at-bat came up late, the defense has always been there. But the more opportunities he got, the more you could see. Again, same type situation. The reason we recruited Red Stokes, heck of a baseball player coming out of JUCO. I mean, he scored over 100 runs, I believe it was, in one season. And so, we expected him to be a good player for us, but he wasn't a starter. He got his opportunity in 2024. And you look up at the end of the season, he hits 18 doubles and hits 365, leads our team in hitting, and he's one of our best players at the end of the season. Last year didn't go the way he wanted it to go, so it was nice to see him bounce back. And he came into this season with no expectations other than, what can I do to help mentor some of these young guys? What can I do to be another coach on the field? What can I do to help this program achieve the goals that we want to achieve? And again, he didn't play much early in the season, but all he's done is he's gotten his opportunity, and you're seeing him just play the game, and you're seeing him just do what it takes to help the team win. And again, we have an unbelievable good fortune of having a 9-hole hitter that is hitting, in the upper 300s, that is now slugging with doubles and home runs as well, and just plays premium defense no matter where we play him. So again, just another great story there of a young man that is sold out to the team.
And it forces a jet buck to play left field. You want to get Mike and Miller in the lineup. The good thing is you have the versatility in guys to be able to put them in the lineup. You say your jet buck, he's just a ball player. Mike and Miller, another one of those guys that can be versatile. So if you have to put Stokes in a lineup, you're not doing it at the sacrifice of jet buck and giving Mike and Miller some opportunities.
Yeah, and there's not a whole lot of teams out there either that have a jet buck who could play anywhere on the field, who have a Rhett Stokes who could play anywhere on the field. Our catcher, one of our catchers, Mike and Miller, I had him in center field at the end of a game. Jeter Wordley could go play center field and catch, so there are some versatile parts there. And we just have felt like with Buck having a chance to play some left field also allows, the guys that we feel like are playing the best together to play. And then it gives us some flexibility in the DH spot too.
Yeah, and Will Jeske's starting to come back too. And it's amazing because, he's taking BP and all that. So the timing, the fact that his timing's still there in live pitching, right? And the amount of barrels that he's had since he's come back, I'm sure for you it's felt good to put him back in the starting nine.
Yeah, I mean, he has been all over the barrel since coming back, and he was all over the barrel before he got hurt. And so I just, I think we just got to be careful a little bit with him and his both of his legs and some of those things. He had to score from first on a double, he had to tag up and beat a play to third. So he's going to have to play through some discomfort for the back half of this season. He may not be 100% for the rest of the year, but boy, when he's in the batter's box, he looks like a guy that is just dangerous to just get the barrel to the ball, and he's done that at a high level.
Classic two-handed chop down a tree type swing. You don't see two-handed swings nowadays, Coach.
Yeah, and that's something that we kind of identified with him, that he's at his best when he does that. I think what it forces him to do is make later decisions. He backs the ball up. He's always been he had been a guy in the past that would put the ball in play at the expense of his bat speed at times early in the count. And he would get some hits because of it, but there would be some 1 or 2 pitch kind of weak early outs is what we call them. And I think the two-hand finish has made him not swing unless he feels like he can hit a double. And so it's not going to happen every time, obviously, but that has made him hone in on the strike zone better and made him understand like who he really is as a hitter.
How about Jeter? And hope he's doing okay after that foul tip yesterday.
Yeah.
Him and the Cleveland Guardian catcher, they can have lunch together.
Yeah,
and talk about what their Easter Sunday was like. But when you put him up to 2 as well, and there could be sort of a mental component to that, right? Going from 9 to 2, the pressure is a little bit steeper. not for him. He's a gamer. You knew that coming in.
Yeah, and that's why we had him in the leadoff spot to start the year, and it just was. He's really taken off since I moved him back up in the order, and he's a run scoring machine. It's great to see that swing yesterday that he took on the hanging breaking ball. With first and second, nobody out. They were expecting bunt. He lines a ball in the left field corner. We score 2 runs. So great to see that type swing. And he just, again, he gets on base. I think he's got almost 15 hit by pitch now. So he's tough to pitch to. And when he gets on base, he gets around the bases.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff right now for Husker baseball. We'll talk about the week coming up. Kansas tomorrow, and a huge 3-game set against Oregon Friday through Sunday in Eugene. So a big week coming up here for Husker baseball. Still more to do. One more segment with Coach. We'll have Mac Moyer in the final segment of the show. This is the Nebraska Baseball Show with Will Bolt.
Returns on the farm are under pressure, with market challenges and environmental hurdles putting every seed to the test. But you have an ace in the hole, Streamline Ag. Designed for every phase of growth and development, Streamline Ag gives your seed what it needs to thrive, from enhanced stand establishment and early emergence to essential nutrition and stress management. Streamline Ag gives your seed the power to reach its full potential. Visit us at streamline-ag.com to learn more.
The work is dirty and sometimes dangerous. It's the kind that can break your body, and if you let it, your spirit. But while there may be better ways to make a living, you won't convince me there's a better way to live. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Noddle Companies proudly supports the Huskers Radio Network. As a full-service leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Noddle Hospitality's latest venture in Exarban Village, and the contemporary living of row house townhomes on Leavenworth. We're welcoming world-class concepts from men's fashion and great eats to gorgeous homes and green spaces, all professionally managed by Noddle Services. These are the Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns: a free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles, or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
It's not a job. I don't start my day by logging in or end my shift by punching out. I don't have a corner office, but I do have a seat with a view. I get to see every sunrise and every sunset. And while I may technically be my own boss, I fully accept that I am not in charge. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
For more than 50 years, Woodhouse has been proud to serve our communities.
We're more than a dealership. We're your neighbor, your partner, and your trusted name in automotive. Generations of drivers have counted on Woodhouse for honesty, transparency, and a hassle-free experience. Every deal starts at the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then we apply discounts and rebates to get you to your true price. No gimmicks, no surprises. Shop local, shop trusted at woodhouse.com. Hassle-free all the way to your driveway. That's Woodhouse.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle. The home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Nebraska Baseball Show. One more segment here with the head coach, Will Bolt. We'll have Mac Moyer coming up. Nick Hanley had that conversation in the final segment after yesterday's sweep of Penn State. Big week coming up. Kansas tomorrow. It probably will be a little cold and windy, but we know Husker Nation will be out. Kansas, another one of those tough midweek opponents. That's another area where this team is vastly improved. Is you need these midweeks, right? Because they can hurt the RPI, but a very good Kansas team that's coming off sweeping Utah. What's been the key or the trick here in the midweeks for you guys?
Well, there's a couple of things at play. Number one, we've had either Gavin Blackowitz or Cooper Katsky starting, which they're both very formidable starting pitchers at this level, so they can get you deep into games. And then the offense, I mean, that's the difference maker in a lot of these Sunday, Tuesday type games where maybe there's more bullpen guys involved. I mean, you're just going to have to score a lot of times to win those games, and we've seen that a couple of times too. So midweeks have always been important. Obviously, the weekend is what gets you the conference standings, when you're in conference play, and you ultimately don't want to burn through a bunch of guys on Tuesday that you can't have available on the weekend. But we have that fortune this year of having a true four starter and then having an offense that we feel like can go slug with people and go outscore people at times on the midweek. So that's been the formula, honestly, for us to be able to come out on the right side of some of these games.
Going to Eugene, Oregon. That'll be a fun series. Ranked on ranked. They're coming off a series against Michigan. What are sort of the expectations heading into this weekend coming up?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, we're going to have a long flight out there, a different time zone by a couple hours. Get acclimated. We'll practice there on Thursday night. Who knows what the weather's going to be like out there. I think there's probably a chance of rain just about every day. So I'll let Coach Waz kind of be the one that sweats that out. I don't know their weather as well as he does. So we'll see if it gets altered at all. We'll be prepared if so. So, yeah, we know they have a great team. They absolutely hammer the baseball at home. In particular, they're super talented. They're one of the best teams in our conference. So it's going to be a challenging week, obviously, with Kansas tomorrow, what they've done, what Coach Fitzgerald's done since he's been there, and then Oregon on the road.
You look at the Big Ten this year, and 4 ranked teams this season, the strength of the league this year. And I know you said with Nick, you had Penn State in your top 4 of your preseason coaches poll just because of sheer talent. And, the pitching hasn't gone the way they want, but it's clear they have some pop in their lineup. When you look at the Big Ten this year, is this the best it's been in a bit?
It is, yeah. With the 4 ranked teams, I mean, we haven't had that in quite some time where there's that national recognition at the top of the league. And there's some teams that have played very, very well, kind of in that 5 to 8 range. I mean, it's always like that, though, in our conference where the standings may be pretty well, the 1 and 2 may be a little bit separated, but then that 3 through 8 or 9 can be a game or 2, different. So there's some teams that have played very, very well in that 5 through 8 outside the 4 ranked teams that have made moves and played at a high level and been consistent. So it's going to be a dogfight. It always is. We know how hard it is to win. Doesn't matter who you're playing, where you're playing. You got to go play well in 3 phases to give yourself a shot.
Bullpens, of course, huge, especially this time of year. But seeing Kevin Monell yesterday was good, throwing up a 0. Tucker Timmerman probably had the best performance out of the bullpen outside of, Jay Sean Unger and what he did in his 2 trips to the mound. Of course, you had the blip yesterday, but the good thing is you had enough cushion because of your offense that you're able to hang on and win a game. Your overall confidence in where the bullpen is right now?
Yeah, Tucker has taken a huge step forward. It was good to see him have an extended outing there, 4 innings, 1 hit, no runs. And that was a team that was red hot, had scored 7 runs, early in that game, and he completely shut them down. Even more impressive potentially because of that, and that alone. So he's been great, and like you said, it's good to see Manel do what he did yesterday. Just made him put the ball in play, and threw the ball over the plate, and had a 3-up, 3-down inning because of that, I think, and Jay Sean's been very consistent. What we really need is for some other guys to show that same consistency. It's kind of been a little bit of a good and bad kind of trade-off for some of those guys, where we just need them to just attack the strike zone. And so my confidence level, very, very high, because we did have a streak there not too in the distant past where we had, 18 straight scoreless innings out of the bullpen. So more than capable of getting it done. It's the consistency piece of it that we're searching for, and the right combination of guys that can go out there and attack the strike zone consistently.
Is that the hardest part of the gig outside of off the field stuff, NIL and all the, you have to deal with agents now, but managing a bullpen, 18 to 22-year-old kids, you don't know what's going on upstairs, and getting them to throw strikes consistently. It's probably the hardest part of the job at the big league level, is managing a bullpen. Is that the same at the college level?
Oh, yeah. And it's the most second-guessed part of the job is the bullpen and how the bullpen's handled. Maybe that and the decision to bunt, although the bunt's kind of been taken out of the game a little bit. So that, but it's the hardest part because, again, you may have a hunch about something and it doesn't go that way, and you may be missing on a guy that could help you, that maybe needs more opportunities, and sometimes those don't come in certain games. And again, when we're trying to win every single game, there's not really any time for experiments either, right? I mean, so you're having to try to go with who you feel like is going to give you the best chance. But the guys that can really excel in the pen, because face it, most all of these guys are coming from situations where they were starting pitchers. The guys that can excel are the guys that are the toughest, the guys that are the most mentally tough, where no matter what, they're just going to go out there and they're going to give you everything they have, and they're going to just lay it all on the line, win or lose, and live with the results. It's different for some guys that have been used to being starters, because they want to know when they're throwing and what their routine is, and that's just not the case in the bullpen. So again, if we can get a couple more guys to kind of get in that frame of mind, then we'll really be rolling when it comes to all 3 phases.
Yeah, the reality is what you saw out of Chase Olson yesterday. That's kind of completely against what you've seen pretty much all year, and that's part of it, right? These are young kids.
Yeah, I mean, and Chase is a strike pumper. I mean, he's 3-1 in a walk to strikeout, and you don't expect that, And I expect him to be much more motivated next week to come out not next week, but next outing, to come out and attack the strike zone and do exactly what he's capable of doing. And that goes for the other guys too that have gotten in there and maybe not gotten the job done. Hey, it's the next day it's over and it's done with. So it's time to go compete.
Rob, this is probably a question better for Rob, but what's he like when he goes out there and somebody's not throwing strikes? Is he pretty straightforward and saying, like, I assume his personality is pretty straightforward in those moments?
I would think so. I mean, I've been on that side of it as a player where he's come out, and now that was 25 years ago too, so maybe he's mellowed a little bit since then. Maybe some will tell you he hasn't. I don't know. But I think it just depends maybe on the situation, and, sometimes it's, trying to lighten the mood a little bit. Sometimes it's to go out there to challenge who they are and what they're doing. So that's why I fully trust him to make all the mound visits and all the pitching changes, because he has a knack for kind of knowing what to say and how to say it at the right exact time.
Yeah, I like being around baseball guys because there's really good phrases. I know Rob has one. It's just, some guys can be a carton of cigarettes some days, It's just like you're going through it, but what a job he's done with this staff, and what a job you've done with this team. It's if you got limited opportunities left, it's going quick at home.
Yeah.
So get out, watch this team play. But as a group, it seems like it's ultra connected, and you're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that is what is ultimately so gratifying and so rewarding as a coach, where you feel like you have a group of players that are a true family. They don't just say it; they back it up with their actions. The personalities of this group there's never a dull moment. There's always the inside jokes, and we've got the bongo drums in there. Not one set wasn't good enough for the beginning of the season. The pitchers had to get involved too and get a bigger set of bongos. and the pitchers are involved in that, where they're really playing up on that as well. And so personalities are great. The want to and the will to get the job done and accomplish the mission is, I never have to worry about that. So I think that's just the thing that's so comforting as a coach. And I've been doing this long enough now and been part of teams that are pretty special, where you know the qualities that those teams have. And it's just such a level of calm that the coaching staff can have, because they just, again, we can just focus on the finer points of the game. It's not, well, what team's going to show up today? Are we going to be focused enough? Where's our mindset going to be? Are we going to be, making an excuse as to why we can't get it done versus going and getting it done? And I would say consistently across the board, our teams here at Nebraska have been no excuses. Go do what it takes to win. These guys do it at a little bit different level because they play so well together, and that chemistry is really, really strong.
Well, Coach, let's have a week. Appreciate you coming in.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it.
Head coach Will Bolt, appreciate his time. We'll have Mac Moyer on the show. That's next.
The color red means something to us. It means tough, ready, and powerful. It means our standards are high, and we expect the highest level of performance on and in the field. So while the Huskers are getting it done on the football field, you can count on Massey Ferguson tractors to get it done in your field. With its seamless CVT transmission and efficient AGCO-powered engine, you'll keep charging down the field all season long. Check out the full line of Massey Ferguson equipment at Osceola Implement in Osceola and True Ag and Turf in Falls City, Columbus, and Osmond.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
From the chant of Husker power to Allo Fiber powering your home and Husker Nation, Allo is the teammate you can trust. Whether you're streaming at home with Allo Internet, watching on the go with DirecTV through Allo, or checking stats and scores on Allo Mobile, Allo keeps you in the game. With Allo plus DirecTV plus Allo Mobile, you get the ultimate teamwork. Internet you can count on, TV you can stream anytime, anywhere, and nationwide coverage you can depend on. Bench the other guys and team up with the official Internet, TV, and mobile partner of the Huskers.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, where it's mower season. Get 0% financing, professional setup, and local support you can't get at the big box store, only at Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer. One of the stars of the Huskers, that is the leadoff man, center fielder Mac Moyer. Very own Nick Hanley had a chance to catch up with him after the series sweep over Penn State.
Nick Hanley here on the Huskers Radio Network talking to center fielder Mac Moyer. And Mac, another series win, a series sweep. Things are looking good as you guys had an outstanding 18-2 March, but starting off April in style too. But we were talking before we came on the camera. This is kind of fun right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously winning's, a good thing, but we just keep stringing at-bats together, and it makes the offense really fun, and then it takes the pressure off the pitching to, then succeed on their own, so.
Talking a little bit about this also before we came on camera here about every time. Seems like you're leading off just about every inning, and when you are and you're getting on base, the success rate of it getting at least one run across is high up there. At one point, I know it was 70% or greater. What do you see in the batter's box? What are you trying to accomplish other than the obvious of getting on base, but also trying to be an asset to your teammates and see some pitches?
Yeah, so I'm obviously not a power guy. I obviously have my role personally, but I think we do a great job just passing the line. That's what we talk about all the time is passing the line, getting the next guy up, whether, it's a walk or a hit by pitch or a hit or, whatever it takes to get the next guy up. That's all we're trying to do.
You said you're not a power guy, but you went deep yesterday. One homer, no plural yet. Well, I remember the first start you had against Stanford. You put one over in right center, and I'm pretty sure if we were playing here, that one would have been out as well. But you go back to that first start. It feels like it was forever ago, but it wasn't that long ago. And you've remained in the lineup. You've made it extremely tough to come out of the lineup, but it hasn't just been what you've done in the batter's box, but real solid defense as well. Going into the season, what was just kind of your aspirations and just the overall plan that you had?
Yeah, I knew what I can do, and I'm glad I have the opportunity to help my teammates out on a daily basis, and that's all that we're really driven by is, helping the team out and helping our pitchers as an offense, and the pitchers are doing the same for us. So, no one's ever out of it, and just like me, I'm just trying to do my job, and so is everybody else.
That outfielding core you guys have, too, and I know it kind of had a revolving door with Jeske going down. He was hitting the ball really well. Good to see him back, but all of a sudden, freshman Drew Grigo gets going. You know that Max Butenbach's got some power, too, but just defensively and offensively, you guys got a lot of good options.
Yeah, definitely. We talk about being 1 through 9, whether it's defense, offense, doesn't matter. We're just trying to be the best baseball players we can be, and, like I said, picking everybody up as you go and, just keeping the game going.
Your path to Nebraska, tell us about that. It's not often you see someone from Seattle make their way over to Lincoln, but just fill us in on that.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to go to San Jacinto College in Houston and had a great experience there, and they had great connections with our coaches here and kind of just fell into place, and happy I'm here.
Everyone knows when they hear the name Moyer. Obviously know your father. There's a baseball lineage, but we've made mention of the broadcast. Clearly there's a baseball IQ that runs in this family. We've seen you make some plays that are just, those instinct moments, but learning from a guy that had such a lengthy career in Major League Baseball, being around the game, being around the clubhouse, what was that like for you, and what has that done for your game?
Yeah, it definitely helps me on a day-to-day basis. I'm, talking to him all the time, too, about situations, and, of course, he's a baseball nut, and, we talk about games for hours, so it's really easy to implement that into my game. I think, obviously his knowledge of being in the big leagues is important, but also understanding that he's a pitcher and I'm a hitter and trying to use that information to my advantage rather than just taking that information and just, yeah.
Could you hit him right now? Would he try to get a changeup?
No doubt. Okay. I'm taking a lot of changeups right now. It's actually pretty good. It's tough. Makes it hard on the pitchers. I think I would take his lunch money right now, yeah.
Great stuff with Nick and Mac after the game. Also want to get to the Nebraska Lottery baseball trivia question. First person to text 402-413-2400 will receive $100 in Nebraska Lottery scratch tickets. With yesterday's win, Nebraska is off to its best starts in 2006 when it began the season 27-5. Which Husker pitcher led Nebraska in wins that season? Text 402-413-2400. We'll announce the winner in the next show coming up on Monday. Tuesday, Kansas, tomorrow in town, 5:30 pregame. Friday through Sunday, Oregon. The Huskers are on the road. Ben and Nick will have you covered on the HRN. Big thanks to Will Bolt, Josh Hilkeman, pushing all the buttons, Mac Moyer, and Nick Hanley. I'm Kyle Crooks. This has been the Nebraska Baseball Show.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
For more than 50 years, Woodhouse has been proud to serve our communities. We're more than a dealership. We're your neighbor, your partner, and your trusted name in automotive. Generations of drivers have counted on Woodhouse for honesty, transparency, and a hassle-free experience. Every deal starts at the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then we apply discounts and rebates to get you to your true price. No gimmicks, no surprises. Shop local, shop trusted at woodhouse.com. Hassle-free all the way to your driveway. That's Woodhouse.
The work is dirty and sometimes dangerous. It's the kind that can break your body, and if you let it, your spirit. But while there may be better ways to make a living, you won't convince me there's a better way to live. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
The color red means something to us. It means tough, ready, and powerful. It means our standards are high, and we expect the highest level of performance on and in the field. So while the Huskers are getting it done on the football field, you can count on Massey Ferguson tractors to get it done in your field. With its seamless CVT transmission and efficient AGCO-powered engine, you'll keep charging down the field all season long. Check out the full line of Massey Ferguson equipment at Osceola Implement in Osceola and True Ag and Turf in Falls City, Columbus, and Osmond.
Once a year, a rhythm thunders across the countryside. It can't be tamed. It can only be driven.
It's the final days of Ford Truck Month. The stampede of savings is running, but it's about to run out. So hurry into your Midwest Ford dealers today. During the final days of Truck Month, get $7,250 cash or 0% for 60 with zero down and no payments for 90 days, plus $1,000 cash on F1.